What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Rantin Review. Unfortunately, today there will be no video in this video. There'll be no video in this video. There'll be no visuals in this video today. We have some work going on in the studio, so I'm going to have to do an audio version of this, and I didn't want to wait until tomorrow to do this review. So we are talking today about Summer Slam 2021 from World Wrestling Entertainment. Of course, it was a show. It was a WWE show, and following up Money in the Bank, which was really damn good. Go back and look at it. Money in the Bank was such a great show, and then we got this. But it's not all bad. It's a mixed bag, was WWE Summer Slam, so we're going to go over it here in this review. But before we get to that, of course, this being YouTube, I encourage you guys to take that like button, ball your fist up, cock it back, and give a Superman punch to that like button. Helps the YouTube algorithm let other people know about this video, so I definitely appreciate it. So let's start off with the kickoff match. It was Big E and Baron Corbin. Again, for those of you who don't know, I don't follow WWE on a weekly basis. I keep up with it as much as I can. So from what I understand, Baron Corbin is broke and he's stolen Big E's briefcase for the Money in the Bank. So this kind of was a match for the briefcase, but not really. But Big E won the match. That's all that's really important to it. Baron Corbin's actually pretty good at this character he's playing. I actually dig it. We get off to the actual beginning of the show, though. For the Raw Tag Team Championships, the phenomenal AJ Styles and Omos defend the titles against RK Bro. This was a fun WWE tag match. RK Bro is one of the few things that I have paid particular attention to that's going on in WWE. I watch all the YouTube videos about them, and I've seen the storyline play out. It's really good. I like the pairing of the two. I think it's funny how they get together. There's a lot of Rock and Sock connection that I'm getting from this, from the old Rock and Mick Foley tag team from years and years ago. This is kind of the same thing, and that storyline always works. Odd couple tag teams always work. AJ Styles is phenomenal. Randy Orton is great when he wants to be. Omos does what he can do. He's still green. He still needs to do a lot of stuff, but I will say this was an enjoyable tag team match. RK Bro winds up winning the match when AJ Styles gets hit with the RKO, and after the match, there's an interview where Riddle's gonna jump the shark, and he's gonna give Randy Orton a big surprise coming up. I guess it's on Raw on Monday, so I guess we're gonna look forward to some goofiness and silliness then, but it is what it is. The tag match was pretty good, though, so I enjoyed it. Next matchup was Eva Maria versus Alexa Bliss. And do I have a toilet sound effect for this? This is when I went to the bathroom. But I went to the bathroom and checked some email, and I came back. I saw Alexa Bliss screaming and then winning the match. Whatever. The less said about this match, the better. It's this Alexa Bliss stuff is just not working for me. If it works for you, cool, but it doesn't work for me. The United States Championship match, Sheamus defending against Damian Priest. They're really trying hard with Damian Priest. And, these are big guys. So this is what Vince likes, the big guys doing the big guy stuff. And, this match was okay. It just was very slow, which is probably a theme you're going to hear me talk about throughout the rest of this review. Is that watching other wrestling, watching pro wrestling, then watching sports entertainment. Sports entertainment matches tend to kind of plod along, and hit one move, and then the one guy lies down on the mat for 30 seconds, and the other guy makes faces to the camera and starts delivering his lines. Sheamus was doing a lot of that. Sheamus controlled most of this match, but I dug the last 2 minutes of it. They picked up going into the finish. Priest finally took that face mask. I don't know what is with WWE and face masks. It's always with face masks. Cody had a face mask. Undertaker had a legitimate reason to have a face mask, but there's always been these face masks throughout the history. Randy Orton had one at one time. They love the face mask in WWE. But Priest took it off of Sheamus and then started just going to town on his face. Any way he could think of hitting him in the face and the nose, he did it, and eventually that was it for good old Sheamus. He lost the United States Championship, or the National Championship, as somebody would call it later on, to Damian Priest. Priest definitely needed this. He did cut an interview afterwards where he was talking about haters and stuff. I get so tired of this stuff. They there's this WWE reinforces this thing too, and its fans repeat and regurgitate this crap, that people who are critical of the show, of WWE, of the way they do their booking and all that other stuff, it's just because they're haters. It's just because they're just miserable people who just want to hate WWE just for the sake of hating WWE. No, we don't like WWE because of some of the stuff that they do, and we'll see some of that coming up pretty soon in that show. And the wrestling style is for me, it's a little bit too slow. It's been done. We've seen it for so many years. They need to change it up, man. They need to change it up a little bit. Next came the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. The Usos defending against the Mysterios. I have not followed any of this at all. I did get it from the video package, though, that Dominic and Ray have a little bit of a conflict because Dominic tried to help Ray, and it worked one time, but then he tried to help him, and then it didn't work, and so Ray is kind of mad at Dominic. I don't know where this is really going. It didn't really go anywhere in the match because the match just kind of ended out of nowhere. But the Usos wound up retaining the Tag Team Championships. It was an okay match, but it just ended out of nowhere. So I don't really see much storyline that advanced here. The Usos retain the tag titles, which I guess means they're not going to get beat up by Roman Reigns in the back, so that's pretty good for them. Now we got into the part where, I guess I'm going to be a hater for this because something didn't make any sense, and I'm going to be critical of it instead of going, yay, that's just whatever, it's great. Bianca Belair was set to defend the SmackDown Women's Championship against Sasha Banks in a big rematch. Now, the story is, and the rumor, according to Dave Meltzer, is that WWE has known Sasha Banks is going to be at this match for about 8 days before Summer Slam. So they were still promoting this match all throughout the week up until the match, up through the announcements of the match. Bianca Belair comes out. They then announce on the microphone that Sasha Banks is not there. Now, Sasha Banks reportedly rumored, notice I keep saying that word rumor, has some sort of issue where she couldn't attend. So it was kind of like, I don't know, a physical issue, a health issue. I hope it's not. If she does have a health issue, then definitely I hope she gets better and hope she's well and not suffering from anything that we all know is going around these days. But she wasn't there. So then they bring out Carmella, of all people. Again, I have not watched a lot of Raw, but I hear a lot about it, or SmackDown, and I hear a lot about it. And I've heard that we've seen this match. You guys who watch WWE every week have seen this match over and over again. So, plus Carmella, not really anything I'm going to be wild about seeing in a title match. But so I went from going, oh great, it's going to be Bianca and Sasha again. This is going to be great. And then it went to, well, Sasha's not there. That sucks. Now we're replacing her with Carmella. That sucks. But then things got good. Because out comes, whoa, the man has come back. Becky Lynch returning to WWE after, being a mom, and which is awesome. And it's great to see her come back. One of the few breakout stars in the past couple years in WWE, and she did it on her own. Well, not completely on her own, but she forced her way up to the top of that ranking. And Becky Lynch is here, and she gets into the ring, gets rid of Carmella, and she's like, hold on, Bianca, let me take out the trash here. She gets rid of Carmella and then gets in the ring, and then she's like, well, why don't we go for the championship? And they kind of shake on it. I don't know how that's an official match. I'll talk about this too with the Cena Roman Reigns build up. How these matches are made now, they just don't even care. It's like WWE doesn't even care anymore. It's just like, okay, I guess this is a championship match. You don't need to sign a contract. You don't need an official. Thankfully they didn't have to bring out an authority figure to come out and do it, because thank God we've gotten away from that stuff finally. But so this is a match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I'm like, all right, well, cool. It's Becky and Bianca. This should be a great. Oh my God. Becky Lynch squashes Bianca Belair in like 25 seconds. Becomes the new SmackDown Women's Champion. Now, it's an exciting moment, but it's a short-sighted moment. And I'm starting to wonder, and I mentioned this on Twitter, we could go there with this. We could go there. And I'm about to explain where there is. The debut episode of SmackDown on Fox saw Kofi Kingston, a black man who had made history by becoming the first black WWE World Heavyweight Champion, got squashed by Brock Lesnar in seconds. Bianca Belair, along with Sasha Banks, the first two women of color to be in a main event for WrestleMania for the Women's Championship. She won the championship, and she gets squashed by Becky Lynch in a couple seconds. I'm sensing a pattern here. But I'm not going to go any further into that because this isn't a political show, and I'm not going to get too far into it, but it is something that was worth mentioning and worth noting and worth thinking about. And whether you agree with it or not, or think there's anything more to it, I can't, because I can't read people's minds. I don't know what's going on, but it's just not a good look. That aside, storyline-wise, character-wise, Bianca Belair, you've been building her up all this time, and now she loses like that to Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is a superstar. She didn't need this. You need to build more superstars to be up on her level. I want, as a fan, as a person who watches sports entertainment and pro wrestling, I like it when you have 3 or 4 big mega stars. Bianca Belair was on her way to be up on the level of a Charlotte, of a Sasha Banks, of a Becky Lynch. And her going up here and finally meeting one of these people, or meeting Becky Lynch, and she gets squashed like that, just says, well, she's not really that big a star. It's kind of this thing that is, and everybody knows this is a constant thing with WWE. It looks like they get behind somebody, and you're like, all right, and you're really behind them, like Kofi and a lot of other people, and then you're really behind Bianca Belair and really into her title run, and then it ends like this, and then it's like, oh, well, I guess she's not that good. You know, and it works on 2 different levels. Now, you know, your brain, or those of us who have those higher level thinking functions, goes, well, you know, it's all storyline and book, blah, 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 blah. But the effect that it has of my impression of the character is not subjected to that higher thinking. It's subjected to what I see on the show. And if what I see on the show is that this person is not as good as, not really that good, because now they've gotten trounced by somebody who we know is really, really good, then why care about Bianca Belair at this point? One of the worst things of the whole night. This is one reason why I regret the fact, though, I can't do this in a video. Drew McIntyre took on Jinder Mahal, and I have not done the Jinder Bop, and those of you who've been longtime followers of my channel know I love to do the Jinder Bop. Back when Jinder Mahal was a thing, because he became a champion because he was Indian. But I can't do the Jinder Bop. I'm gonna have to do it. I will do the Jinder Bop when I get my next video. Just next WWE video, I'll definitely do it. But this was a nothing match. Drew basically beat the crap out of Jinder Mahal for a few minutes and then won the match. He then tried to decapitate Jinder and his boys with his sword, which is not really a babyface thing to do, but you know, it was a good way to get something for Drew McIntyre to get a win. Maybe, hopefully, setting him back up the rankings for the championship. I'm not sure where he's going to go, but they'll have to do something with that in the future. Raw Women's Championship match, Nikki ASH, oh Lord, defending the title against Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. They worked this whole thing. Again, this is another one where, even though I am not a fan of the Nikki ASH character, I think this is like new generation era level WWE kind of characters. But I get what it is for little kids. Little kids like this stuff. So, you know, and WWE essentially is for little kids. So, you know, I get it. But if you're going to do that, then Charlotte's basically treating her like she doesn't belong in a match and just throwing her aside. And Rhea Ripley's trying to find a way to win the match. So that's the dynamic here. But this match was a pretty good match. It was one of the better ones of the night. Everybody had their big moment. The one that really stuck out to me is Charlotte hit her corkscrew plancher off the top rope to the outside on both Ripley and Nikki ASH. And from the camera angle, it looked brutal. Charlotte's leg just basically crashes into Nikki ASH, the top of her head. It looked, and you knew that hurt, and it looked like it hurt because there was no control there. She wasn't ready for it. Charlotte wasn't pulling it, so her leg just went right into the soft spot on Nikki ASH. Eventually, though, Charlotte sidesteps what a superhero dive from Nikki, and then puts her into the figure 8, and then gets a tap out submission. I think this is the 12th title for Charlotte Flair. But it was a good match. It just didn't do anything unpredictable, but it was just a really good women's wrestling match. So definitely, this is the kind of stuff that sets WWE's women's division above a lot of the other ones. So I definitely enjoyed this match. It's one I would recommend you actually watching. Speaking of watching matches, this is the best part of the whole show. Edge versus Seth Rollins. Oh my God. Seth Rollins, despite his attitude and despite the things he said, is still one of the best wrestlers in the world. Edge is an experienced veteran who's done some great stuff. Edge and Christian, by the way, ironically enough, they're both of them respectively are facing two of the best wrestlers in the world, and the performances are fantastic. We had Christian doing what he did in AEW with Kenny Omega, which was a great match and better than I thought it was going to be. And here Edge with Seth Rollins, who's arguably one of the best wrestlers in WWE, had a great match. Now, it was a little bit slow. They did do that WWE crap that they did, and I mentioned this before about one guy takes a move and then lies down for 45 seconds while the other guy makes faces to the camera and delivers his lines. But the story of this match was really good, and it was really focused around Seth Rollins. If he hit the curb stomp, as he should have and wanted to 7 years ago, he could have paralyzed Edge. And you can hear a girl in the audience like literally screeching every time Seth Rollins got close to hitting that damn curb stomp on Edge. So this was very effective. Edge was basically fighting for his life. He came out to the Brood theme, which I appreciated. Then he cut it off and then went back to the Rated R Superstar thing. So I was like, okay, I'd rather him just kept the Brood entrance. Would have been cooler, but this was great. I mean, there's nothing really to complain about this match outside of the fact that the first 5 minutes was just very, very slow, but they got to their point where they were doing some great stuff. Seth countered a spear into a pedigree, but that was just timed beautifully. And the finish was great. Edge just had enough for Seth and then started pounding his head into the mat, put on a crossface, got the win from tap out, and man, that was good. It was good. Edge went to a dark place, as they call it, and got the win here over Seth Rollins. So definitely kudos all around. Now, there's some other stuff on the show that I definitely got to mention, though. For some reason, Shinsuke Nakamura and this guy, I don't know the guy's name because, again, I don't watch weekly WWE TV. Guitar guy comes out, and I'm like, okay, so Shinsuke's got a match for the... No, there's not a match. They're just coming out here playing a guitar with, what's his face? Pat McAfee or whatever. And they're just, whatever. They're playing guitar. I think Hiroshi Tanahashi should go call Shinsuke, like, why are you taking my gimmick, though? But, that was what it was. Then we had this other weird segment with the Miz and MS TV and this whole drip. I don't watch the weekly shows. I don't know what this drip nonsense is about. I've heard about it. It looks real effing stupid. It just sounds and like, oh my, this is just bad. This is bad. This is like those two segments in particular are what I always say that WWE is. What Vince's vision of WWE apparently is a bad Saturday Night Live, a bad episode of Saturday Night Live with a wrestling ring, because that's what this felt like a very bad Saturday Night Live skit. And out comes Xavier Woods, who was dressed as Scott Hall, and they try to do the best they could with it. I guess this drip thing is about the hair. I don't know. I don't care. He hosed them down, Miz and Morrison, with the Super Soaker, and and the crowd was dead. Nobody reacted to it. Nobody gave a crap. It was just stupid, and no. Then we went from stupid to even dumber. WWE Championship match, Bobby Lashley defending against Goldberg. Well, I always say they've booked Goldberg's matches well, but I think everybody's tired of that booking style. But when you do a Goldberg match, it's best for it to be 5 minutes and just hit big moves, and whoever hits the last big move wins the match. They should have done that here. They didn't do it. What they did is they tried to tell a different kind of story. Goldberg was basically beating the crap out of Lashley for a good 3 or 4 minutes to start the match off. The cool thing was because the crowd was not having it for Goldberg. I also got to mention this too. I'm taking a little aside from here. You have 50,000 people in this stadium, and WWE, this is the bad thing that came out of the Thunderdome. They're still messing with the audio. They're pumping in cheers when they want to. They're pumping in boos when they want to. They are lowering the audience volume when they want to, when they don't want you to hear certain things. It's noticeable throughout the whole show. They did it a lot during the stupid match, but they couldn't do it to the point where you could not tell that the crowd was not for Goldberg. And so Lashley would get out of the way of a spear. One time, MVP pulls Lashley out of the way of a spear. The crowd starts cheering because nobody wants to see Bill Goldberg win the WWE Championship. So at some point in time, MVP hits Goldberg in the leg with his cane, with his pimp stick. It takes about 2 seconds for Goldberg to register it. And then Lashley starts working on his leg with a couple really sad-looking chop blocks. Lashley almost dies when he, for some reason, goes up to the top rope, and Goldberg goes to do just the old traditional, old-school slam off the top rope. But the way it came across, Lashley almost landed on his freaking head. I was scared for it because it looked like he was about to like break his neck, and I was like, "Oh, that was close." Then there was a bunch of other stuff, but Lashley, anyway, and Lashley won the match, thank God. But he didn't win the match in a way that was satisfying. He won a match in a way where all this leg damage, the referee stopped the match. Now, I guess what they were going for, which is ironic because given what happened last month with the Kofi Kingston match where he just ragdolled Kofi Kingston for a good 10 minutes and nobody decided to stop that match. Goldberg here, they stopped the match, but it didn't get to the level of what the Kofi match was where you were just like, oh my God, this needs to stop. It didn't reach that level. So it just looked like the referee stopped the match. It was just a BS finish so Goldberg wouldn't lose and get pinned by Bobby Lashley, but he could still lose the match. So after this, Lashley starts going to town on him with a steel chair, starts bashing Goldberg in the leg. Goldberg's son, Sunberg, comes out, and he starts attacking Lashley. Lashley puts him in a hurt lock. Then he lets him go. MVP tries to apologize for it. And then Goldberg's like, "I'm going to kill you." So I guess this is going to continue. Thankfully, I don't watch WWE Weekly TV, so you guys can watch it. I ain't watching whatever. If this continues, I don't have to see it at least. Then we get to the main event, the Universal Championship, Roman Reigns versus John Cena, which is the match I was actually, one of two matches I was actually interested in seeing on this card. It was what I thought it was going to be. It's a typical big match Johnny main event, which, if you got to give John Cena credit for this, they do the most with the least. They're really, even at one point in the match, Roman Reigns is mocking John Cena's 5 moves of doom, but there were about 5 moves in the last 5 minutes of this match. And it's not so much about how many moves you do, it's the way that you do them. And this match was a way of effectively doing those moves. But John Cena's got one move, it's the AA. Now, at the beginning of this match, he tries to roll up Reigns because they're selling the whole, I can just roll you up and get you, distraction roll-ups, because that is one of the most dangerous. that distraction roll-up, I think, has gotten more wins in WWE over the last 5 years than any other finisher in the entire business. But Cena's trying to hit him with that. Reigns is just beating him up and laughing at him. There's a lot of acting. Reigns is doing a lot of acting to the camera, a lot of lines delivered. And here's my thought on that, too. Because that's a WWE thing. And I think part of the reason you don't see it in a lot of other wrestling companies is because when you're doing action and there's a lot of action going on, you don't have a crowd quiet enough where you can deliver lines like that everybody can hear them. So they have these lulls in the action where it's just like, all right, now I got to deliver my lines to the camera because we're making movies, not doing wrestling matches. However, the end of this match started to pick up pace, even though it was only really one move, or 3 moves. It was Cena hitting an AA, Roman kicked out. He hit it on the outside through the table. That looked nasty. That table AA on Roman Reigns threw him. Cena's like, oh my God, I can win. So Cena, with his farmer's tan, threw Roman in the ring, got a 2 count. Then we get the shot look, of course, and then we got to sit for 45 seconds before we do something else. Then eventually we get an AA from the middle turnbuckle, and this one popped the crowd because I think people thought Cena was going to win. I didn't think he was going to win, but people thought Cena was going to win. Roman kicked out. The whole crowd goes crazy, so that was a great spot. It worked for the crowd. That was awesome. They start trading punches, and then at the end, it is Roman hitting a couple Superman punches, and then a spear, and then he's just like, this is over, dude. Pins John Cena, and which basically validates everything that Roman said is that Cena was not really that much of a challenge for him, even though he was a little bit of a challenge. But now Roman is 2-0 against John Cena. So that was that. That was it. It wasn't a great match. It was fun. It's that WWE John Cena style of main event where you spam finishers. So, I mean, if that's what you're back. Again, that's not my cup of tea, but I know it is a cup of tea of other people. So if you enjoy that, cool for you. It is exciting to a certain, it's exciting because the fans are excited. That's what made me excited about it. But as far as if I was just watching this match and not with the crazy fan reaction, it wouldn't have been as good. So that's why WWE really needs its fan base, because it really makes this stuff a lot better for them. So the match ends, and then we're like, all right, cool. And then the big surprise for me, Brock Lesnar shows up. Holy crap. And I'm a Brock Lesnar fan. I like Brock Lesnar. I like Brock Lesnar when everybody hated Brock Lesnar. I've never not liked Brock Lesnar. I respect the guy, NCAA champion, UFC, because I watched him in UFC a lot, and I really got behind him in UFC, because UFC people hated him because he was a wrestler, which made me get behind him. And he's plus Brock is legitimately one of the baddest dudes on the planet, and he legitimately is. I can agree with his kind of the way he deals with people. He don't really like crowds too much, or being in crowds too much. But here he comes out, he confronts Roman. His new look is like something out of some anime, or he looks like one of those bad guys in an anime or something, like with the hair and the big ball. I mean, he always looked like a big anime villain anyway. Now he definitely looks like one. He confronts Roman. Now, you knew this was coming because of the Paul Heyman connection. Now, this I want to watch. This I will be tuning into the YouTube videos and see where this goes, because we knew this was coming. That at some point in time, Brock was going to confront Roman. And Paul Heyman being an advocate formerly for Brock, now for Roman, what is Paul Heyman going to do? If they play this right, this could be a really good storyline. It could be one of the better ones of the year. And it's one we've been waiting for a long time. So I'm very interested in seeing where this goes. So SummerSlam goes off the air with this. The show, again, it's not a bad show. It's not a good show. It's a show but it's not even really I can't really say it's a middle of the road show. It's a show that has some really good stuff, and it's a show that has some really, really god awful crap in it. So I usually can accept like something if something isn't great, and but there are a couple other really great things on the show, then that helps elevate the show. But even with the women's triple threat match and the Edge versus Seth Rollins match, that doesn't, and the surprise returns of Becky Lynch and Brock Lesnar, that doesn't counteract the Miz TV segment, doesn't counteract whatever the hell Shinsuke was doing with the guitar guy, doesn't counteract the terrible, crappy booking through some of these other shows, the Goldberg Lashley thing that should have never happened and the way they handled it. Bianca Belair getting quote unquote buried. I don't think she's buried, but her getting diminished the way that she did. They kind of cancel each other out. So I can't recommend the show, especially it being a 5-hour show, but I can definitely recommend I would watch the triple threat match with the women, Charlotte, Nikki ASH, and Rhea Ripley. I'd watch Cena and Roman. I'd watch Becky Lynch's return, and then try to act like what happened after that didn't happen. And Edge versus Seth, that's definitely the best match on the card. The rest of this show you can probably throw away. But I want to know what you guys think. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. And I will see you guys next time, hopefully with video, here for more news, reviews, and rumors on the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.